I hope you all peep game. I hope you all peep the propaganda that's been happening lately. A number of people have talked about it, but I just want to give my further 2 cents on it. I already made the video, talking about this propaganda of, black people versus Asian, right? And you know, we all know what the goal is here. I hope y'all been peeping like what's going on here, right? You got Donald Trump went up there talking about the Kung flu and the China virus and all that. And, unfortunately, you get a lot of idiots that whatever the popular thing that's being said or whatever's being spewed out there in the mainstream, uh, or whatever group is being pointed to or identified as the root of, I don't know, the world's problems, you're always going to get people, and especially very, very mentally vulnerable people, who are going to go down that route. Now, white media has been running around ever since that white guy down in Georgia shot up the what do you want to call it, the massage parlor, which it didn't even make sense to me. Like, if I was going to go on some mass shooting and attack Asians or something like that, right? You would think like you would go to a Chinese spot, right? Right? Because they're everywhere. Like the whole idea of going to a massage parlor is questionable to me. So, a lot of people, a lot of black people, because we're having this sort of propaganda war going on, a lot of black people want to say, white supremacy is trying to deflect away, from the fact that this guy was, a Asian hating white man, right? Because white people have a history of hating on Asians, the Yellow Peril, the Chinese Exclusion Act, putting Japanese in internment camps, right? All type of massacres that took place, of Asians, and then, even isolated, cases of murder, like the murder of Susie Zhao, who was, what was she? She was raped and then burned alive, right? She was a poker player. You never hear white news focusing on stuff like that. But anyway, so now, they're trying to kill two birds with one stone. The first thing is to deflect away from, black people's, filing their grievances, the whole George Floyd trial, trying to draw sympathy away from black people, who, everything just exploded last summer, with, Black Lives Matter and, the George Floyd situation, right? Everybody, the COVID, it was like COVID, people were out of work, out of jobs, and all of it just created this perfect storm, right? And, there's also the frustration of, even with, Black Lives Matter, and, how Black Lives Matter is this, we already talked about it. It's LGBT organization. Idiots like Tim Pool, want to keep foaming at the mouth about Black Lives Matter and all this nonsense. Again, you know, catering to his white base. And so these guys try to come off like that. What's his name? Stefan Molyneux, intellectual libertarian and whatnot. When it's like a low key white supremacist, low key, bigot type of bullshit, and that's what Tim Pool, operates on, right? That's his base. That's his bread and butter. He's going to lean that way, even if he's not even 100% on that. It's like that's where your audience is. It's just like what I see with Amazing Lucas and how he's shifted away because he just basically what we've been saying. The black coon train is a white apologist, and they go up there and they say that oh, black people, you need to pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, and then act like white supremacy has done nothing. It has no impact on today. The transgressions of the past have no impact on today, and that's bullshit. And it's not a true intellectual conversation. And so Tim Pool does the same crap. I thought I could sit there and tolerate watching him. Can't tolerate watching him. So so now let's go back to the media and the propaganda. Like I said before in my other video, And this is why I keep warning black people about the Democratic Party and all that, all this stuff that they like to co-sign about, oh, Democrats are the best and we're going to vote Democrat and everything. And these are liberal news networks. I hope you realize that. All that MSNBC, CBS, NBC, all these channels that keep, and you really see it with CBS and their YouTube channel, and they just keep highlighting all these quote unquote attacks on Asians, right? And like I told you, and we've talked about before, the crimes are either going to be economic or they're going to be mentally deranged. And the majority of the crimes that we're seeing perpetrated even by black people, because again, white media is trying to deflect away from the overwhelming majority of attacks on Asians, which is at the hands of white people, especially in states where black people don't even make up a large percentage of the population. So there ain't even enough black people to go around in order to facilitate, what Asians are experiencing. There have been some Asians who've called it out, but Asian people, yet again, it's like, they're silent when they shouldn't be, because they don't want to go up against white zaddy, right? They keep trying to get that pat on the head from white zaddy, and it's irritating. But some Asians, have called it out. That girl that likes to dance, what's her name? Charlotte Yun, she called it out. And there's been a couple other people that called it out. The people that have been attacking them. It's like they notice they keep showing you New York, but they don't want to show you anywhere else in the country, right? But the people that are attacking these Asians that are black, and we talked about this before, they got a history of being basically mental defectives, right? Or they've been arrested multiple times. The shit doesn't even look right when they do it. You seen the guy, the guy running around, he punched some other Hispanic dude. And see now that you got other people getting hit, now it's really starting to look like, okay, these people are just mental. They're nutcases. Like the guy that kicked that Asian lady in front of the store, and then the doorman closed the door on him, right? Which was messed up. But he killed his own mother. Spent 17 years in prison and then came out. This has been a problem. This has been a problem in Philadelphia. This has been a problem in New York. This is this has just been a problem. And this is what we talk about when we talk about prison reform. There's no rehabilitation. These people, they go in, they get locked up, and then they're released, and then they cause problems in the community. They're homeless. They're in a halfway house. They're able to just roam the streets. They should probably be on all sorts of medications. Whether they're depressed, bipolar, schizophrenic, and they're just allowed to just roam. And then when they go out there and they attack somebody, again, based on the race, then that's when the media jumps up and pounces on that. Not to mention the fact that, again, we've already been a whole year of coronavirus and Donald Trump up there talking about it's the Kung flu and it's the China virus and all this other stuff. People who are mentally disturbed, things like that resonate with them. And so like with the way that white people are trying to like dust their hands off, I call bullshit. This anti-Asian, this yellow peril nonsense and all this stuff is rooted in white supremacy. And white people, they don't want to own it. What they're trying to do is trying to remove the quote unquote sympathy, whatever amount that exists, the sympathy for whether it's Black Lives Matter or the George Floyd, his whole trial against, what's his name, Derek Chauvin, right? They're trying to eliminate that, eliminate the sympathy. Oh, see, these blacks are just as racist as what they claim about white people. See, they're racist too, right? Because the number one thing that white supremacy does not want is they do not want the blacks, the Asians, the Hispanics, to form Voltron, okay, and then all be against white supremacy. So they gotta keep the divide and conquer going. They gotta fuel the flames. They gotta, make people think, oh, this is what's going on, and the blacks are out to get you. Because I've seen, a lot of the reaction of Asian people. It's very awkward now. I mean, Asian people are like the last thing on my mind unless I'm getting Chinese food. Like, I don't sit around thinking about Asian people at all, ever. You know what I mean? And again, you can clearly see that these people are mentally disturbed. Again, at the bottom rungs of society. Where's that professional black man running around? He sees an Asian and then starts trying to beat them down with his briefcase. Like, where is this going on? It's not going on. You see what I'm saying? Like again, every community, has its people who are, dysfunctional and whatnot. And oh man, the media loves a good race story. They love to say, oh, see, it's blacks attacking Asians and whatnot. Like as though it was some methodical plan. Like, you can see in the video, these people are like literally walking around, like looking for a target. Like, they don't even know where to go, half the time in these damn videos. You know what I mean? They're just like looking, they're looking for a target to hit. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Because they're mentally screwed up. And so what the white media is doing is using freaking mentally defective people, and then trying to paint that as being associated with Black Lives Matter or anything else. Again, I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is an LGBT organization that capitalizes on the deaths of black men to go off and be funded and everything. I see people bitching about the fact that the chick went off and one of the founders went off and bought a $1.4 million, mansion, not in the black community, right? They had that all over the Daily Wire, right? I don't co-sign that, right? But again, how many times do people have to repeat that Black Lives Matter, is LGBT, and, whether they want to say it's coming from George Soros, or whether they want to say it's, affiliated with Biden and the Liberal Party and all that other shit. Right? Because again, like I've always said, black men are walking away from the Democratic Party, and a lot of black men voted for Donald Trump, not because they love Donald Trump, but because, it was a protest against the Democratic Party. Democratic Party is about LGBT and feminism and gender fluidity and disarming everybody. Like that there's nothing in there that resonates with me. You know what I mean? They don't want to talk, they're not for reparations. They're not for, effective, justice against police brutality. They're not for, the heteronormative, cisgendered, nuclear family. Everything that they want to do, just bust up the family. And, if you want to be a freaking unicorn and Puff the Magic Dragon, and, you got to force everybody else to recognize you as Puff the Magic Dragon. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there that I want to be a part of. And there's many black men that feel that way. But again, white supremacy is still in the background, to where, what they're trying to do is they're trying to, both from the right and the left, what they're trying to do is muddy the water, confuse things up. Oh shit, black people are mobilizing. Oh, what must we do? Oh, let's distract. Let's talk about black on Asian violence, even though the majority of violence against Asians has been perpetrated by Caucasians. It's always been that way. But because, you got these cameras all over the place, and they can take the same, 6 or 7 guys and keep looping it. I mean, there's even more confusion. Like, you'll have a guy and he's up in the camera. Who's the guy that they just called? Joven Rodriguez. I don't know what he is, Dominican or whatever. He's light skinned, but then he got nappy hair like a black person. So then they want to say, oh, see, blacks attacking Asians. But I'm like, my man's name is Rodriguez. So what you gonna put that on ADOS? You gonna put that on African Americans just because his hair is nappy? Like, fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? So this shows you how much they're grabbing at straws. There's no posse of black people riding around looking for Asians like what white people used to do with the Ku Klux Klan and the spooks out there in California. You know what I'm saying? So, again, anytime, I hope y'all peep this. All you black liberals that, we love the Democratic Party, and all you freaking black caucus, assholes over there. I hope you peeping this. You see, part of me thinks that this is their way of trying to get back at black people for, like, how dare you all, start filing grievances and sticking to your guns and not falling for the traps when we try to deflect away from your grievances. You see, and this is the danger of black people not controlling their own media. Okay? Because as Dr. Claude Anderson has pointed out numerous times, when you don't control your own media, man, they can go up there and talk all type of bad about you. And they're doing the same thing, or they did the same thing, with the Jews in Germany. They did the exact same thing. You got the man with the funny mustache up there talking all type of crazy, right? And what could the Jewish people do? Nothing. They had no way to respond. You see? And the same thing happens. See that what they're doing is they're tenderizing you. They're prepping you for the slaughter. Okay, what they do is, black Americans, you got to understand that we are an inconvenient population. Slavery ended and white people didn't know what to do with us. We're an inconvenient population. They do not see and view us, the same. You start talking about them. We got men with families and they need good jobs and gainful employment, all that shit. You say the same thing as a black man. Well, what do you need that for? What do you need those resources for? You don't need the same resources. And then what they'll try to do is they'll try to point to the byproduct of them denying you resources as to justification as to why you don't need the resources, right? So black people got broken homes, fathers aren't there, which is a result of black men not having gainful employment. And then they'll say, well, you don't need the resources because, look, y'all don't stick around as fathers. So the idea of y'all needing resources to support a family is bullshit. You see how ass backwards that shit is? Right? You don't need the resources because we see that you're not fathers, when the very reason why fathers aren't in the home 9 times out of 10 is because they don't have the resources. Right? It's the same argument that conservatives make, with this bullshit about, if you're poor, you don't need to have kids, but then they go around and see to it that you don't have the resources to have kids. That's slow genocide, if you ask me. If you don't have the resources, you shouldn't have kids. And then see to it that you don't have the resources. So then you're sitting there juggling this moral compass about whether you should have children or face the reality of having children in poverty because you don't have the resources. So it's either don't have children or have children in poverty because the system of white supremacy isn't going to allow you to have the resources. You see, this is how this shit works. You know what I mean? And so, they just keep doing it. And you got a bunch of idiots that are buying, like they're eating it up. Don't get me wrong. There's white supremacists that they know what's going on. They know it's propaganda, and they're in the comments section. Where's Black Lives Matter? They know that this is bullshit. But it doesn't matter. The effect is still the same. They write enough comments in the comment section. The blacks are attacking the Asians, and blah, 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 blah. And they keep, but again, completely ignore. Like I said in my video, they had, what was it? It was like 2,100 attacks on Asians in the Oakland area, right? You can't tell me all 21 attacks on Asians were all black people. But see, again, they're not going to show you the white people going out there and beating up on Asians. They're not going to make that a highlight. Y'all remember that Asian woman, the 75-year-old Asian woman that beat that white guy down with a stick, and he was on the stretcher, and the camera shows him on the stretcher. See, they don't want to loop that. They don't want to show you that. They don't want to show you the white people, attacking Asians. They want to show you. And notice how it seems like they pixelate, like when the people are wearing a hoodie or a mask, because it's COVID, that they'll like extra pixelate the picture so you can't make out the race. You can only assume what the person is. You see? And then they'll play it within a loop of the 1 or 2 black guys that you can clearly see that they're black and attacking Asians. Like even that situation on the train, it was a situation where Asian man got beat down on the train. Turns out, and there's other videos of Asians on the train who were recording the black guy beating down the Asian. And even they said, yo, he's dropping the N-word. He up there dropping all type of, N-bombs on the train. So now it's like, so let me get this right. So if an Asian person jumps up and calls a black man a nigga, and then the black man whoops his ass, right? We're only going to play half of the clip, and then we're going to say, oh, look at the blacks attacking the Asians, right? Even though the Asian dude's running around, writing checks with his mouth that his body can't cash, right? You see, like that's the game. And I'm not even saying every Asian dude is on that, but even other Asian people know that's a no-no. You running around, you want to take shit racial, and then you get your ass beat. Well, you just get your ass beat. That's all there is to it. You catch that smoke. But see, now, anytime, a black person gets into it with an Asian, it's going to be, the blacks are out to get the Asians. There's always been, this back and forth between black and Asians, and, this sort of, the disrespect, that comes from Asian folks who feel that, it's like, like where you have the black people who are buying into the Donald Trump, Kung Flu, China virus narrative. You've had Asians who have bought into the idea that, black people, they're just the bane of human existence. And many Asians who want to try to become as American as possible. Who's the go-to group to shit on? Black people. Oh, well, maybe if the white man sees me shit on some black people, then maybe they'll accept me. Right? And every other group comes to America with that same bullshit, whether it's Asian. I mean, even they had an Asian dude on Jubilee who highlighted. You can find videos all over YouTube of Asians that are honest enough to come forward and talk about anti-blackness in the Asian community, from freaking skin color and the colorism that exists in the Asian community, and to, just overall, just anti-blackness. So, there's some Asians that are honest with it, but the dude in the Jubilee video, he damn near came to tears because he knows what goes on. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't on that shit, but, if your family's on that shit or your community's on that shit, it's like, what are you going to do? Especially in communities where they get resources and all this other stuff from those very same bigoted people. It's not as easy as, I'm just going to go and call them out. Us as black people, we can easily talk back to, our elders and elders and shit like that because, they ain't offering shit anyway. You know what I mean? So anybody can catch that smoke in the black community, but other communities don't operate like that. It's not as easy, when the people that may be on some bullshit are the ones that actually support you and give you opportunities and all that. That's one of the reasons why you'll see people who, they know it's fucked up when they see it. On the inside, they may feel some type of way about it, but they're not going to come out and speak out against it because there's opportunities there, right? The elders in their community can curb their behavior, and they don't want to seem like, so you siding with the blacks? Well, if you siding with the blacks, why don't you go over there with your people? See, they don't want to be told that. They're like, damn, that was fucked up. Shit. But, I can't go up against, the elders. I can't go up against the council. Right? So, I know that shit goes on. But I'm saying peep the bullshit, peep the propaganda, peep the game, you know what I'm saying? And keep calling it out. Keep calling it out. Because, I'm telling you, they rely on uninformed, emotional population. And unfortunately, that's what most people are, which is why they think they can continue to get away with this narrative. And additionally, which is why they want to shut down and control social media. And you got to think, who are the voices that control, who are the entities that control social media? The left, not the right, the left. This is what I tried to tell you all about, I don't care. Yeah, Steven Crowder says some fucked up racial shit. He getting on the black farmers. Then he does his little skit, with the George Floyd and the knee on the neck. And he thinks it's funny. And yeah, that's bullshit. But when y'all get on you need to silence the people on the right. I'm like, the people on the left are not your friends. And when you're a black person and you say things that when you really start calling out white supremacy, when you really start recognizing that the Democratic Party is the left arm and the Republican Party is the right arm of white supremacy, and it will be white first at the end of the day, when you recognize that that's how things are, and you stop, trying to be in bed with the Democrats, and you recognize that black people need an independent party, you know what I mean? That's when you're going to see that the left that you thought was your friend and was the party of minorities. See, when you go against the Democratic agenda, because remember, they don't have a black agenda. It's a Democratic agenda. Or Democrat agenda, I should say. So once you go against the Democrat agenda, if you're a black person and you're pro Second Amendment, or if you're a black person and you're not LGBT and you don't believe that there's 33 genders and all that other shit, when you start operating, you know what I'm saying, like an independently thinking person, that's when the liberal media, the liberal social media has to shut you down. And that's when they got to throw you underneath the bus. The Democrats are not the party of black people. They're not going to let black people in the driver's seat. All they do is come through, get your vote. Yes, because remember, they can't win without black people's vote. Period. The Democrat Party cannot win without black people's vote. That's a lot of power. But see, since black people are too stupid to try to utilize that power, this is what you get. You vote Biden into office. The liberal media who told you, black people and Black Lives Matter and NFAC and we kind of support you, but they really don't. And they told you, they co-signed all that shit. Now that Biden's in, and now that they don't have to cater to your needs, they don't have to address any of your problems. Now they're going to try to dead the whole movement by saying, see, blacks are racist just like we are, right? So clearly we don't owe black people anything because, see, look, they're attacking other minority groups. Now they're going to big up the Asians. See, the Asians, they're hardworking Americans and they go to school and they get an education and they're doing the right thing. They are the model minority, and these lazy blacks are coming in and just ruining things for them and making it hard for them. And that's why we should feel no guilt or no shame for putting knees on their neck or shooting them 57 times and reloading and then shooting them another 30 times. That's why we should feel no remorse and why we should smack down the ideas of reparations for slavery because blacks attack Asians. And see, they're evil and they don't deserve anything, right? Because we're not going to rectify the transgressions of our ancestors because we don't want to, and we have the power not to. And because all we got to do is, use the power of the media to change the narrative here and there a little bit and, redirect the spotlight over here and over there, don't look in this direction. Look over here. Don't look at, what's his name? The Epstein dude that was on the island with the Clintons and all. Don't look over here. We got to talk about this over here, just distracting away from shit. You see, again, you got to recognize media is not independent media. It's not independent journalism. It's backed by millionaires and billionaires and corporations and everything else. That's what it's backed by. Okay. And those very powerful white men, and Jewish men, they don't want certain things to be, put out there. Okay? They don't want there to be a counter narrative. They don't want you focusing on them. It's the same thing I've been saying about class warfare in America since forever. Class comes before race. When it was just white people in Europe, it was kings, queens, nobles, and peasants. And the majority of white people in America come from peasants. America was a penal colony. He stole a loaf of bread, send him to America. No, anywhere but America. No, not America. Send him to Australia. No, not Australia. Anywhere but Australia. No, right? Motherfucking getting dragged away, for stealing a loaf of bread. You see? So class warfare has always been it. But see, if you can divide and conquer, keep the races preoccupied with each other, and they don't mobilize and form Voltron and stick to their demands, You know what I'm saying? You got to understand the whole power dynamic. The ruling class is very small. It's very few elites. Okay? Very small group of people. They do not want, the masses to be woke and be educated and all that other stuff. And even the problem that's why they're quick to, instead of smacking down the woke movements, they hijack them. Because they recognize that smacking them down will only further fuel the flames, of the rebellion, of the resistance. So if they come through and they act like they are the, friends of this, then they're able to manipulate it. Same way that Senator Palpatine in Star Wars, turned everything around, used, his attempted arrest by Mace Windu and Anakin Skywalker as a way to, ask for supreme emergency powers due to the attempt on my life. I've been scarred, right? And that's why I need supreme emergency powers. And then next thing you know, everybody's willing to give a hand over supreme emergency powers. Go look into the man with the funny mustache and how he was given supreme emergency powers. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the codes are in these movies. And again, if you go watch that documentary, Hollywoodism, and you look at who many of the directors are and whatnot, some of them are acutely aware of this. So it's not like there's this, this idea that the J people are all, evil and everything. I know that you got the Zionist type of anti-Zionist type of people who go out there and they try to push that type of narrative. No, some of them know. Some of them know what's up. They know how, yes, they want to maintain their position, but they also know, like, hey, this is a delicate situation. If it spins out of control, we could lose everything. So, again, it's art. Messages can be snuck in there if people aren't paying attention. Right? But you just peep the game. Peep what's going on. Recognize what's going on. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my rant. So that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.